Hey guys, I'm ARTHEO. We're starting off with some new content here where I answer YouTube comments.
ARTHEO ends the game. Keep fucking stalling their backs. Stall the backs. Stop the ports! Stop the ports! Stop the ports! Stop the ports! ARTHEO!
Here's a comment. Quick question, why do you go with graps? Are there any advantages of taking graps over tempo? We're going to go over to the drawing board. I'm going to explain tempo versus graps, pros and cons. All right, let's talk about the pros, tempo versus graps. With tempo, you're a duelist. You win most 1v1 situations. Graps, it's great at baiting and kiting enemies. So the difference here is with lethal tempo, you can go all in, and with graps, you cannot. You have to kind of kite around a bit and wait for your abilities and land a fat combo on them, and that's how you win. Versus tempo, you can just auto attack and get that extra range on your W. So with tempo, how it works is it works with its passive and it gives extra range. So with that combination of your alt and W, your alt gives extra range on your W as well. So that combination is very good at reaching those targets that are trying to run away from you. And then graps, the double heal plus damage combo with W. So when you're kiting the enemies out and baiting them into your next W, you're getting that double heal, double damage. So when you think about items like any of the Sheen items like Iceborne, Divine, even Trinity, you're gonna get almost a triple damage in that effect. Alright, so tempo scales best with damage or on-hit items. So it's really good into items like Nashers or any AP item, any AD item. But on-hit means like Nashers, Titanic, any of those effects work really well. Divine is somewhat an on-hit. Trinity is on-hit. Iceborne has Spellblade, but you have to go damage second. So whether that's like an item like ability haste item like Cosmic, Shojin, or you can go on hit like Nashers and Titanic. Graps scales best with health scaling items. So like, for example, Sunfire scales with health, Demonic scales with health, Titanus scales with health, Styrax scales with health, Stoneplate scales with health. Any of those items are very good with graph. But not only that, runes scale with it as well. So like bigger demolish damage. So that's another point there is why we want to take graps. For tempo, you get fast wave clear and tower shred. So your auto attacks are more than you would have in a graps setup. So it's kind of a balance thing. So you're able to shred the tower versus graps, you're able to have a bigger punch with demolish. So either way, you just got to understand the difference. So you're going more health tankish with graps, and tempo you're going more on hit damage. So the next thing I want to talk about is one of the most important things when it comes to the breaker is the pots that you drink. We got the sorcery pot and the iron pot. So the sorcery is really good with the on hit, and most of the time is really good early game. The iron pot gives you health and it does more damage with demolish. It's really good into the late game. So the way I look at tempo is I'll explain in a minute when we talk about the cons because that's going to really expand the difference here. All right, let's talk about the cons. Tempo versus grabs. Tempo is difficult against CC or burst. And the reason why is because with lethal tempo, you're more of an on hit. You have to be able to auto attack. And when you're CC'd, you can't do anything. You're slowed CC, so you're missing out on a bunch of auto attacks. And burst damage is a huge counter because you're kind of squishy with a damage on hit build. There's not much health in it, there's not much tank in it. So those are the two things you got to look out for. And the biggest thing that's important to when you encounter someone with a heavy CC or burst is you got to have your ult. Your ult dodges that CC, and your Q is another thing that's really important. Is you get that reset. So if you Q and you get stunned and you got that reset, that's gonna help you. The downside is if you get CC, even though you um, use your Q, the burst is what you gotta watch out for. Because during that time, even though you get the reset, it's not gonna matter because you're just gonna get burst down, right? That's why your ult is very important against bursty champions. So if you can ult and kind of like dodge most of that CC, that's how you're going to deal with those kind of bursty champions. The second thing with tempo, it dominates early, but can fall off late. And what I mean by that is with the sorcery pot I was talking about, it's really good on Volibear early with the AP build, and it shreds towers quickly. And with all that attack speed, shredding towers, that combination, you're going to be able to dominate early and get those towers down early. While Graps is the opposite. It's difficult early against all-in type champions. So what I mean by that is like when you're against Darius, for example, he's the type of champion that's going to run you down. At Graps, you can't really kite him early, but you can kite him later. And what I mean is you don't have your Iceborne. So like Darius is a movement speed type champion. He's gonna go for his Trinity or Stride Breaker and Dead Man's Hullbreaker, all that good stuff. So kiting him early is gonna be difficult. He's gonna keep you from farming, so it's gonna take longer for you to get your Iceborne. And then later, once you get it, you'll be able to stomp him if you didn't feed him or if your team didn't feed him. That's where the kiting becomes easier against like Darius. So that's the thing that you have to keep in mind. So it scales for late game, pretty much what it is. So once you get your Iceborne and then go forward, you get your Hullbreaker Titanic, you got lots of health, you demolish is stacked, you got your Iron pot, you'll be able to break those Nexus towers in the late game. Versus Tempo, you can shred those towers early, and you can deal with all-in type champions like Darius much better in the earlier game than you can with Graps. Um, Graps is really good generally against champions that are not all-in, champions that depend on their ability. Like Gangplank, for example, depends on his barrels, depends on his cleanse, and all that stuff. So Tempo is not going to be very good against them, those type champions, and like tanks. Some tanks have a lot of CC, which is very bad for the lethal tempo. But if you can manage to get a hold of them and slap them, get them down low enough, then it's really good. And if you have like Riftmaker, for example, you might be able to sustain yourself that way. Kind of similar situation with Graps. It sucks early against Darius, but once you get Iceborne, it's really good. Tempo sucks early against tanks, but once you get Riftmaker, it does well. So you got to keep that in mind. Um, you're better off going Graps if you want to dominate early against a tank than you are with Tempo. But once you get your Mythic, Tempo is going to beat a tank. So it's just a matter of understanding that and getting there. So you can definitely play either or. You just got to be aware of the strong points and the weak points when it comes to both of these type rune setups. All right, so I have an example of a lethal tempo gameplay versus a Darius all-in type champion. And here's the rune setup. I have Triumph, I have Alacrity. So the attack speed that I have from Alacrity is before Lethal Tempo is procced. So you need that attack speed to duel with Darius. Um, so you can see I got Ignite and Ghost. So you pretty much, versus an all-in champion, you want to take Ignite. You want to be able to fight him because otherwise you're going to be sitting on the tower and he's just not going to let you farm. So once you have your Ignite, your Ghost, and your ult, and all that, you're ready to all in. So I'm going to show you this example. There you got the Ignite, ult. See, I missed the ult damage, but I'm still going to get him because I have Lethal Tempo fully stacked and Ignite on him. So I easily won that fight. Now if I landed my ult, he would have been gone a long time ago. So that's why I play that way. And Ghost is to help counter his Ghost. Because if you run Flash against his Ghost, he's going to run you down. There's no escape. So you got to be able to Ghost when he goes. His Flash is a tricky part, so you got to be careful with that. He can Flash Q you and still get you. So I go straight into Nashers, and this is a perfect example of what items to use with Lethal Tempo. It's really good with on-hit. So yeah, that's why I rush the Nashers. I'm not playing around. I want all the attack speed I can get to beat this guy. Alright, so here's an example of how I use Graps in my matchup. So I have Ignite and Ghost here too, because I know I can run down and kill this Gangplank. So you can see here he's got 2 of his barrels placed up by my tower. So I walk ahead and he can't do anything about it. So I stay in front of it. I always stay in front. So I walk up to him, like way past him when he places barrels. So I have Ignite, I have ult, I have Ghost, so I can all in on him if I want to. So Graps is gonna heal me. So here we go. Got the E combo on him. So he cleansed, but it wasn't enough. So I can ult here. Boom. Got the Graps heal. And he got the W off. So the W, the heal combo is what's very important there. So if you look here, I marked him, right? So he's marked. So I got the W. Now I got my Graps. I'm gonna go in and get that bite. See, double heal, double damage. So that's why Graps works really well against those type champions. So you're able to sustain and dive and, you know, eat a couple tower shots because of that extra heal. So I hope that answers your question of what are the advantages of taking Graps over Tempo. It really doesn't matter which one you go, as long as you understand the strengths and the weakness of both of those type runes that I explained in this video. So going forward, if there's any more comments on my YouTube, I will be happy to make a video and answer your questions, explaining in detail of why I play a certain way with my rune setups.